Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one's entitled, "The Sun Stopped Shining at Least 21 Years Ago." Now, in the previous article, Article 606, entitled "Chinese Satellite Earth-Moon Images Beyond Fake," I showed that the Chinese are essentially saying that their mission to the moon is completely fake, with one single moon Earth photograph, where I also mentioned that this is to be expected as the sun is no longer shining, and thus there is no sunlight for the moon to reflect, so that it is impossible for us to see the real moon in the sky. And in addition, there is no illumination of the backside of the moon to make it visible in a photograph. But since I know that many people will still question that statement, I decided to go through the obvious evidence one more time. And here we start with this photograph where the sun in the sky appears to be blue and hexagonal in shape. You can see the straight lines in its shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Several straight lines there. It's hexagonal. So this cannot be the real sun. First of all, the real sun cannot be blue. And you can see that even blue beams of light running through it. The real sun cannot be hexagonal. The real sun has to be perfectly circular. And the real sun is supposed to be pale yellow, not blue. You can see it looks white here because any color, when it's extremely bright, will look white. You can see from the edge that it's blue. And in the same photograph, what we have there is a shadow on the clouds. And this is a close-up of that. Now, a shadow in the clouds is only possible if the sun is not shining. In other words, the light illuminating the atmosphere is not coming from above the cloud. The real sun is shining, then the light would be coming from above the cloud. And then it would be impossible to get a shadow. A shadow can only be produced if light is coming from below the cloud. And then by something interrupting the light, it causes a shadow on the cloud. So the light has to be coming from under the cloud. So that cannot be the sun. If the sun was shining at the same time that there was illumination from below, obviously the sun would overwhelm the lighting. Most of the light would be coming from above, not from below. So it would still be impossible for there to be a shadow. So this shows that the sun cannot possibly be shining. Now, but there are still some people who still think that even though we have simulators, they have accepted that the sun, the real sun, has to always be behind the simulator. And I believe this once as well. But if the real sun is behind the simulator, which one is it behind of in this case? Because now we have two simulations of the sun in the sky. So if the people operating these things are so careful to always place the simulator in front of the real sun so that we do not get confused with two suns in the sky, why would they even change the simulation's position without taking any care to position it precisely? That can only be because there is no real sun shining, because the simulators, or behind the simulators, because they don't care where they place the simulation. It doesn't matter. I mean, if the real sun was behind one of these, when the other one switched off, the real sun would be visible. You can't just change the simulator's position from one point in the sky to another if the real sun is still in the sky, because you end up not covering the real sun, obviously. Now, this is another photograph where we can see the sun apparently there on the horizon. It looks quite white, maybe pale yellow. But the sand here looks red. So how is it possible that a white sun is illuminating the sand with red light? And in addition, if the sun is weak, we would expect it to only be able to emit the weakest light, which is red light. It's the lowest energy light. So sunset would be the right opportunity to allow the real sun to illuminate the earth. And since having red sand is not a problem, why isn't the real sun, even though weak and thus red, on the horizon? We definitely do not have a red sun on the horizon. We have a white sun. So this cannot be the real sun. Well, it's not the real sun because it's not even what's illuminating the sand over here. So that's obviously part of a holographic projection. That's not providing the lighting we see illuminating the sand and the beach here. So this means that the sun cannot possibly be shining. And if the sun is too weak to emit red light, it will only be able to emit infrared light, which would have turned it into a planet. The Earth emits infrared light. If the sun can not emit visible light, not even red light, it should only be able to emit infrared light. And that means it would have turned into a planet. It's no longer a star. Now, here's a screenshot from a YouTube video featuring a morning television program from 1998, News Channel 15, WICD, Sunrise. This, I think, is from 827. And you see that the image of the sun, which is used here, is clearly not the real sun. So again, we can see straight lines in this outline. Clearly straight lines there, it's hexagonal. And we can see this petal arrangement around it in red. And so this cannot be the real sun. And this petal arrangement is used to be seen more often. It's not seen that much anymore. It's probably an older model of the sun simulators. But if they were not able to find real video footage of the real sun in 1998, they had to use what was in the sky, which was a sun simulator. Then that means that the sun had already stopped shining by 1998. So with the sun not shining, we would expect not only the sun to have become a simulation in the sky, but also the moon. And indeed, there is clear evidence that the moon in our sky is a holographic projection, which can be interfered with by a passing airplane. And this is what we see here. We can see this airplane. We'll start with this image. As it passes, starts to pass to the left of the moon, we can see that light seems to be draped across its wings or flowing behind its wings. And this is because the airplane is interrupting the beam that's projecting the moon in the sky. So the light seems to be draped across the plane. It's not just there. The whole image actually glitches all the way from one side to the other. These are just screenshots. It can be clearly seen in the video. And this video was done by Cliff 481. It's entitled Planes Flying Through the Moon 2. And you can see as the plane moves further away from the moon, you can see that this glitching on the moon image in the sky, because it is a holographic projection, and again goes all the way to that side. You can still see it here as the moon progresses in its path, and you can continue to see this glitching which goes right across this line. This is because the plane is interrupting the beam, which must obviously be on the left and slightly in front of the plane and the moon image. And so the plane must be somewhat in line with the projection in order to cause that glitching along there. So in conclusion, the sun is no longer shining and has not been shining since at least 1998. So that's 21 years at least. The moon has thus, as a result, also been replaced by simulation, a holographic projected image in the sky. And these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.